Hello and welcome to another edition of the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show, where this week we're doing our annual, and I guess I should ask Cody Cameron if it's going to be annual, but I'm going to have him on to talk ball whenever I can. We did this last year. We're going to do the 6A preview today. This will come out about the first week before 6A, 5A, 4A, and 6A all open. So we'll have some conversation starters here and talk some 6A football with Cody Cameron, who is a Arizona media guy and is fantastic. I think Arizona is really, really fortunate. We have some of the best high school sports prep media around, and Cody is one of my is probably my absolute favorite because of his love for small school ball. I didn't know until a recent conversation that his dad was a coach, and after him telling me that, I was like, this makes complete sense. Why his takes are usually measured and come from a little bit more of a coach's perspective than I see some others. But not that their takes are bad, but I always enjoy your stuff, Cody, and excited to have you on today to talk some high school football in Arizona. I got a couple ideas to bounce off you, too, that I'll be interested to get your takes on, but we appreciate you taking the time to be on, and We'll do it like last year. We'll go through region by region. I went back and looked, incidentally. We were not bad last year.
I was going to ask, how wrong was I? I'm usually awful at predicting. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you.
I think I had 5 of the 8 opens, and I think you had 6 or 7. So,
I love doing this, and right off the bat, yeah, let's make it annually. Let's 100% make this annually, because I had coaches, Cody, calling me whenever we put this out last year. They called me and go, "So you think we're going to lose that week 6 game to win?" And I'm like, I can't remember what I said. What do you mean? He's like, "Yeah, no, we heard what you said to Colette. Hey, I'm showing all of our players this." But guess what? I love it. The best thing about football, and you can attest to it, is, hey, everybody can have an opinion, but eventually on a Friday night in the fall, it's going to get settled. Whether you're right, wrong, and I don't care if I'm wrong all the time. So I'm all for it.
You could fill a whole lot of books with all the times I'm wrong. That's actually why I decided this year not to do a 4A preview. I was really careful last year when I did a 4A preview to give absolutely no bulletin board material whatsoever. But I thought even the chance of it is foolish. So I'm not going to do a 4A preview. I don't know. Maybe I'll get talked into doing a 5A one. But right now we're going to do talk some 6A ball. We're going to go through it region by region. First off, and I'm gonna go on this one first, and we might get some guys on this. They might not like this. They might like it. I don't know. But I have an idea. I think I have, first of all, absolutely no issue with 20 of 29 6A schools getting in the playoffs. And the reason for that is really simple. Those are the top of the top. There are some phenomenal schools outside of maybe a few of those 5A schools that can probably compete at that level. That is the absolute best of the best in Arizona, in my opinion. There are some unbelievable teams. So I have no problem with 20 out of 29 teams getting in. I have no problem with an open state champion and a 6A state champion. This is my take, and you can tell me I'm crazy, and I'm going to tell you why I like it for 2 reasons. I think 20 of 20 should still make it. I think the open should go to 4. What that does is you're going, oh, those guys only get a 2 weeks in the playoffs. Well, what it does to me is they get a bye week before the semis. So any of those lingering injuries, maybe you get those teams at their best. Then you get a bye week before the state championship. And it makes, in my opinion, the 6A state championship incredibly more prestigious. Because then you go, 5 through 20 is 1 through 16 in the 6A bracket. Last year, I had Coach Bushman on, phenomenal job. Castile, thought it was really one of the really cool that Coach Clark, my high school coach at Dobson High School, his grandson was on that Castile team. That was super cool, unbelievable. But that tournament gets even better if Red Mountain, Pinnacle, let's see, Williamsfield,
Mountain View, yes.
Mountain View, all of those teams. If all those teams are in the 6A tournament, I'm not saying Castile wouldn't have won it still, but that tournament becomes even more intriguing. And it already is super intriguing, I think. And in my view, and I'm going to let the cat out of the bag early, I know there are some possibilities here. I think we'll see the same 4 teams in the Open semifinals at the end. I think you'll see Hamilton. I think you'll see Basha. I think you'll see Liberty, and I think you'll see Chandler. That's my prediction for the top 4 right now. And I could be wrong. Could 100% be wrong. I'll bet you that ends up being the top 4. We'll see. We'll see. It could be.
We got the same initials. We're C squared. So telepathically, I think you just read my mind, because I was going to come on here and say the whole thing about 6A right now, to me, it's the most top heavy it's ever been because of those 4 schools. But going back to your playoff point, I think when you talk to coaches in the state in 6A, they're on 2 sides. Whether some of them goes, screw the Open, just have a 6A bracket, have 20 teams in there. We don't need it anymore. The Open was made for Saguaro and Centennial. They're up in 6A now. It doesn't matter. Then you have the other guys going, no, because the Open is primarily teams that receive a truckload of transfers, right? Like those teams that we mentioned, those 4 teams, they have 15 to 20 transfers. How is that fair to the teams that don't receive it? That's why we need the Open to exclude those guys. I think your viewpoint on this, have 4 teams in the Open, have 6A, because the AIA has publicly stated many times that they're going to have the Open State Championship as long as we're an open enrollment state. As long as we're an open enrollment state, we are going to have the Open State Championship. And let's be honest here, too. They like the gate money. The gate money that those games come in as the quarters and the semis before they have to pay the big ticket to ASU, it is a ton of money. It's a lot of money. They don't want to lose that revenue. And so having your way, you get both. We'll go, hey, that Open, that's the most special thing you can play in the state of Arizona playoff system. You will be, I'm not saying you hang a banner for being top 4, but essentially you have labeled yourself and earned your right to be a top 4 team in the state. And your 6A now, because you have so many coaches, go, well, hey, that 6A title is really the ninth place trophy. That's what it is after you move to 8. Now it's, hey, 5 through 20, that's some darn good football. Not to say that it hasn't been, like you said, but I think your viewpoint solves a lot of issues.
I think it has been great football, and I think those 4. I'm not an expert on. I know there are some states in this country that are unbelievable football. If those top 4 are 100%, I would say in the top 100 teams in the country. Maybe even 75. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. I know there's some incredible football played in everywhere around, but Arizona has grown exponentially in population and so many things, and a lot of move-ins, which we'll talk about, people coming from other places, because Arizona's an attractive place to live. So I think there's a lot to be said about that. So we're going to hop into it. We're going to go region by region. I already let my cat out of the bag of who I have in the Open Final 4, but I didn't let it out of the bag of who I have winning. But we'll talk about that as we get there. We'll also give our picks for the 6A group, and we have 4 more teams to add to the current system of the Open. But Central Region, really, really good region. I'll give some of my thoughts team by team, and you will give your expert opinion, because I will admit I am not super abreast to the transfer portal. So if I say someone that is not currently still on that team, my apologies. But I was doing some research, looking at some things. As always in the summer, one of my favorite things to do when everybody falls asleep at my house is watch a little bit of 6A football on YouTube. Super cool that you can find all these really football games on YouTube and rewatch them. Obviously, I'm busy on Friday nights in the fall, but getting ready to watch those has been a lot of fun. But we'll start with the Brophy Broncos, led by Casey. Well, tons of losses, obviously. Obviously, Devin Fitzgerald, Dalen Sharper, the Vanden Bosches have all graduated. The cupboard is never bare at Brophy. I believe there's 14 Division I kids or something that have got offered somewhere in that area. But Donovan McNabb Jr., obviously super talented receiver. I believe they have their top 3 tacklers back. Riddell, Ryder Noach, I'm probably saying that wrong, and Braxton Tate. So cupboard is certainly not bare at Brophy. Always a very, very talented, very well-coached team. Have an outstanding offensive line coach. The coaching staff is littered with talent, and their roster is littered with talent too. So I think obviously could be another long run for the Broncos. Your thoughts on Brophy?
So to me, Brophy, if you would have told me they had 30 Division One kids, I would have believed you. Every time I go on Twitter, I feel like every week, especially in the eval period during May, I felt like they had 5 kids a week get offers. It was just an insane amount of talent in that roster. I mean, point blank and simple, Brophy has a top 3 roster in the state. Like, I don't think I don't think it's debatable. They have such a talented roster. But I'm going to bring this up. 2 huge losses for Brophy are the coaching staff. They lost their offensive coordinator, Tony Cotton. He gets a Sunny Slope job. Tremendous coach. And then they lost Brian Cole. Brian Cole gets the Cortez job. Brian Cole, legendary coach in Phoenix, knows what it takes to win. And Jason Jewell has a tremendous staff. You mentioned the offensive line coach, Mark Martinez, the best. Like, he is easily one of the best assistant coaches in the state. Tony Tabor coaching the defensive line. He's got a bunch of these coaches who have coached for a million years that are all about their players and development and culture, and then, building kids into men. And so he still has a good staff, but losing his OC and losing Brian Cole, which is a pivotal piece of that coaching staff last year, that's tough. Jason replaced that. But I use the word replace. I don't know if you could replace those guys. There's going to be some stuff. He had guys step up into that coaching staff. I just want to see how that meshes on a Friday night. Springtime, summer 7-on-7, all of that's great. How does that mesh on a Friday night? Talent-wise, though, Brophy's going to be there. They're going to be in that play-in open game, or there could be a top 4 seed. They're that talented, but that's where I kind of see them falling into place.
I got to say it right now. Brian Cole at Cortez is phenomenal. That's
great.
Just a great thing.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about record-wise anything else, because I don't think that's about that for him. I think his thing is making a difference for kids, and obviously been a tremendously talented football coach and wildly successful wherever he's been. Moving on to Higley, 7-5 year, another solid year for Higley last year. A couple really talented receivers looked at. They got a linebacker, Dax White. Couple running backs back, Antonio Young, I think Rylan Irwin. Always really, really talented. Coach Zuby does a really fantastic job. I know there was I believe they were going to have Coach Ortiz back as OC, and then he ended up a millennial with his nephew or something like that. I'm sure it'll be a talented coaching staff for Higley as well. I'm going to bang through a couple of these teams in this region, and then we'll give our pick here. I'll be totally honest. When I looked at the new Saguaro coach's record, I thought it was like, is that real? Is that his real record in Washington? Like, it was like 140.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it was, but I was like, is that his real record? Like,
It made you double take. Yeah.
Now, again, I know there were some spring showcases, and I'm sure they've had a million. I didn't even write anybody down because I was like, I know they've had a lot of transfers out. I think they had 22 kids at their showcase. I'm sure it was 22 very talented kids, and obviously they have a head coach that definitely knows what's going on. So I don't know much about Saguaro. I think it's going to take a while to get them back, but I think the Open in its current format with 8 teams gives them a shot to possibly be a 6A playoff team if they can stay healthy. Moving on to Shadow Ridge, absolutely love Coach Zadebski. Had him on the show last year. Great guy, really talented football coach. A good running back in Joel Cooper, wide receiver Brody Lara. Talented team there. They did a good job last year. Lost a couple of tight ones, but Shadow Ridge is a team that I think is on the rise with him. Williamsfield, Steve Campbell. I don't know how many games he's won at this point, but it's got to be in at least close to the mid-hundreds, which as long as he's been around. But top 3 receivers back, Trey Smith, Booker, Tyler. They got their top 3 tacklers back as well. Some talented guys there. Obviously a really talented quarterback, Dominic Barjona, and that Williamsfield team, really, really talented. When it's all said and done, they're my pick to win this region, believe it or not. I think Brophy and them have had some classics of late, and I could be looking foolish on this because last year, one of my picks that was way wrong is I had Queen Creek winning that region, and I think ALA Queen Creek put it on them there right at the end. But this could go either way, Williamsfield, Brophy, in my view. Higley is also in that mix. One of the things the AIA has got 100% right is how even the regions are. So any of those 3 teams winning it, I think you wouldn't be wrong. I'm going to go out. I'm going to say Williamsfield wins it. Your thoughts on the Central?
And I'm going to go against you and go to their arch rivals. I'm going to Higley. So we are recording this at the end of June. This week, last 2 days. I went to Higley and Williamsfield. I'm not a huge 7-on-7 guy. I'm pretty vocal about that, and I never really tweet too much stuff, but I didn't grow up with it. I'm not a huge 7 guy. I'd so much rather watch the teams lift and the way they attack summer workouts on the field. And luckily, I'm in a job in a very unique perspective where I get to do that on a daily basis. So I watch Williamsfield and Higley and some of their rep workouts, and they were doing some track workouts too. And both those programs do such a good job of integrating track and different competition stuff, very college-esque workouts based in terms of high volume, very high competition, very similar. Higley looks amazing. They are so talented. I think this is Zuby's best offseason in terms of developing body size and strength and power that he's ever had. And he's had some incredible teams. I came down here in 2017, his 2017 team that had Drayson Hall play running back at NAU, Spencer Brash, quarterback at Cal, then transferred to Cal Poly. That team was darn good. This team, Cody, size and speed and just power, watching some inside runs, some skelly work 2 days ago, I'm like, oh my goodness. His linebacking room, across the board, are Division I talents. He just had another inside backer commit to Idaho a couple weeks ago. 6'3", 215 pounds. That Dax White kid, another 6'2", 215-pound kid. So just guys of physical nature that tempo just looks so fast, so clean, bunch of veteran leaders. And then their defensive coordinator, Rand Baker, who's been there for like 8 years now, was the wrestling coach this year. And he had all of his defensive players wrestle. Guess what? That makes you a better football player. It's not rocket science. Higley's my favorite because I think they have – I think Brophy's probably got the best roster, but I think Higley, what I saw yesterday is they just have kind of it. Williamsfield is extremely talented at the skill position, but they graduated probably Steve Campbell's best offensive lineman, including his son who signed with Michigan State. And Campbell will love this because he wants to show his kids, hey, we want to prove Cody Cameron wrong. And they just, I love that rivalry because really they despise each other, the two schools, and I love that. I think that's good for high school football. Williamsfield has that, but I think it's just, I don't want to call it growing pains. It's just new offensive linemen up front where Higley's just got every position group. They have veteran leaders. So I'm going to go with the Knights here. I'm going to go with the Knights.
All right. Well, I think, again, this is a pretty rough region. Moving on to the Desert Valley region. Like I said, I'll kind of go through some of my thoughts on each of these teams and give a pick, and then you can give your pick as well. Obviously, I have not seen Higley in person. I have heard that they look really, really good in person, and certainly that is incidentally, I think I've told this story before, but we had a team up here practicing at camp, and there was a parent up here, and I was chatting with him, and I said, hey, sir, how much Division I college football recruiting experience do you have? And he said, well, none. And I said, okay, all right. Well, there's one kid on the field. This was not a team packed with Division I kids. It was a good, good, solid high school football team. But there was one kid down there on the field, and I said, okay, hey, there's one kid on here that has a bunch of Power 4 offers. Can you find them for me? There's 60 kids on the field. And he looked and went, that one? I was like, yeah, it's not that hard. And I was like, yep.
Trust your eyes. Trust your eyes. Yeah.
The kid was like 6'4", 230, could run like crazy. I was like, well,
size and speed. Yeah. Size and speed. That's amazing.
I saw somebody in a coaching podcast I was watching. I absolutely loved it. He called it the wife watch on film. And what the wife watch on film, if you watch film and your wife goes, well, I think you better stop number 5.
Then you know.
My wife did last year when we were watching Thunderbird, and then we weren't able to stop him. But anyhow, I was like, yeah, you're right. He's pretty good, dear.
I love that. The wife line. And that kid at Thunderbird now has like 10 Division I offers, by the way. The little kid, I think his last name's Little. Yeah, he's legit. Yes.
There's a ton of littles on that team. They had the running back.
And they're all good. Yeah.
Coming up from the lower levels. Really talented team over there at T-Bird. All right. Boulder Creek always does a fantastic job, has a couple talented DBs that made some picks last year. 3-7, this is why I'm no problem with the way that they're a really good football team, and people go, they're 3-7. How are they are really good, trust me.
Yep.
That's how talented 6A is in Arizona. Brutal schedule. Interested to see if they can make some moves. Going to be tough. I know they, like we had Matt Smith on at Maricopa, and obviously it's 5A school, but he was talking about we can keep these kids in Maricopa, we're going to be a power. I know that's been a problem for Boulder Creek, keeping those kids, those Anthem kids. There's a lot of studs in Anthem, keeping them there. Can they do that? I don't know. Centennial has made some big-time noise. I believe they have a couple of wins, and it's 7-on-7, so I'm not going to give that too much credence. But I think they have a couple of wins over Basha in 7-on-7 this summer. Torrin Hill, Darion Bartholomew, DeMonte Drake, top 3 tacklers back. This is a pretty young Centennial team, obviously, and really, really talented. Some really good Coyotes team. I'll be interested to see where they're at. Youngest team, I believe, and I'm really excited to watch them up at Prescott next month. Youngest team, I believe, Colin Thomas has had at Liberty. They have a few receivers back. They have a stud running back in Jaden Sanchez. They're going to be in the mix to me because of the program they've established. And I was looking at some of these lists of conference, and they rank the coaches. That would be really hard in 6A in Arizona because there's so many talented coaches. But if Colin Thomas is not one, he's got to be in the top 3 or 4 or 5 because he is. You watch them and you see how much precision they play with, and really talented group, fun to watch. Andrew Johnson, second year at Mountain Ridge, running back Easton McClanahan, Nicholas, I'm probably saying this wrong, Mods, I believe, stud linebacker for them. I think they'll make some strides in year 2. Mountain Ridge obviously had some down years, but I think he'll do a good job. Really enjoy Coach Kulos. I had from Sandra Day O'Connor. Had a little bit of fun with him, and one of the guys posted a picture of Sandra Day and said, "Is this not the best backdrop in Arizona?" And I coyfully posted a picture of Prescott and said, "Been to Prescott?" But anyhow, or have you been to Coconino? Because that one is amazing, also. But he does a great job. Obviously, starts and ends with their unbelievably talented running back. You'll have to remind me. I believe I saw he committed.
Washington. UW.
Okay, right. Another really talented receiver, Brady Dorsey. Really talented group there. I'm going to go with Liberty. Liberty wins this one. I got Centennial 2. Thoughts on the Desert Valley?
So it's tough because Boulder Creek are exactly correct. I don't know who they pissed off in the AIA or their seeding ranks because they're scheduled to last like 5-6 years. Brutal. And it's tough. Those kids are really, really well coached and they're tough kids. When you have a schedule like that, God, it's just like juggernauts every time. I want to talk about the Coyotes. Centennial, to me, just like I talked to Brophy, when you look at rosters that can compete with the Chandler Unified juggernauts and Liberty, Centennial's in the conversation. They just cannot, they have not found a way to get over that hump against Liberty. Like, I'm going to take it back to when I first moved down here in 2017, those two neck and neck. Centennial was getting the best of them here and there. And then that switch happened. I don't know if it was during 2020, that COVID year, or 2021, where Liberty has just kind of owned that rivalry game since. Centennial has the roster to get it done. Liberty is Colin Thomas's youngest team that he's ever had in terms of the most sophomores that he's going to start. And I'll get to that. But I think this would be the year for the Coyotes to do it. I'm a big believer. I got to see it, though. And Centennial, to me, just hasn't made that jump like a 2017, a 2016, a 2018 Centennial teams, all teams that were state championship winners. Can they get to that jump? Mount Ridge, brutal, same thing. Tough schedule. I agree with you. I think with Coach Andrew Johnson, part of that Jason Mons tree in that heritage, great coach. I think he takes another step. It's just a tough schedule. Ben at O'Connor is going to build a powerhouse in terms of the 6A bracket. If he loses a playing game, drops in the 6A, I'm going, that's a favorite to win it because of the skilled players, the way he coaches. He's had his first true offseason. So I think that team is going to do what they do best. We're going to go north to south, and we're going to be powerful. And that's a big credit to Ben. But Liberty. So we end on Liberty. People, the last, since December, January, go, man, those Lions lost a lot. And they didn't play in they didn't play in the state game. And Basha finally got them. Is this? And I just laugh because Colin Thomas and his staff get his kids prepared to play on Friday night. Probably that staff probably better than any team in the state. And I love the Chandler Unified schools, but Liberty, those kids are ready to rock. Those sophomores that he has starting this year, I was up in Flagstaff watching some of the camps, and they're sophomores, so it's class of 2029. So all they've played is freshman ball. I'm watching them at this NEU camp, and it's just the mindset. And I'm not saying, because it pissed off a lot of opposing coaches just how physical these guys are in a 7 but it's just the way those kids are wired. It is like, we are going to beat you up to a pulp and dominate everything we do. Everything we do is competition based, and everything we do is 100%. And I'm not saying it's right to reroute a crosser in June into the backfield, but that's what the Lions do. I like Liberty too, because by the time we get into the region play, those kids will have 5 games under their belt, and they are so fast and so violent, and they are as perfect as you can be in how they execute. And that's why I like Liberty.
Another really, really good region. I think I have to agree with you there. Moving on to one of my favorite regions, the East Valley. I know I feel bad because I tried to even look it up on the AS site. I believe it had the coach from last year, but I know they hired Lovie Smith's son. What is his name? Do you know that?
Miles Smith.
Okay, all right. Miles Smith, the new coach there. They have a couple pieces back. Obviously, I don't know. Desert Ridge, I think without the I don't. It could be a tough sledding for them, even as well coached as there be. They have a talented linebacker, Brett Fromm. Caleb Lydell had 4 sacks for him last year, but that schedule is going to be rough. They might need a reset in 5A. I don't know. I'm not saying that's true, but that might be something that helps them, because I thought Coach Beeman was a good coach, and there's certain things that are not going to happen unless some things happen there in terms of not knocking their kids at all, but in terms of talent in 6A in Arizona, it's tough to match that. Highland, an uncharacteristic, and again, one of my favorite games to watch last year was a double overtime classic between
Mountain View
and Highland.
Yeah.
Highland goes 4-7 last year. If they get that win over Mesa, they might go all the way to the final in 6A.
Yep.
So you're thinking it's a down year, but I don't know that it really was. I know they have a new offensive coordinator. Excited to see what he does. Obviously, Cruz Cullimore, Gage Shern, they got some talent there. I do not think you'll see the Hawks down again. They're just too well coached, too disciplined. But that's going to be a fun team to follow as well. Brock Farrell, obviously, another guy that's an outstanding football coach. Mountain View Toros, Andy Litton. I've said this on record before. I think one of the better coaches in the state. Really, really talented guy. Running back Coy Bodley. They got a quarterback, Brock White, that did take some snaps last year. Remind me of his first name. They got Lincoln Kennedy's son on the O-line there.
Ty Kennedy, yes, sir.
Lincoln Kennedy was
a dude.
It was unbelievable. So I'm imagining, and I didn't watch him with a fine-tooth comb on the Toro film I've watched some of the one-on-one reps, which is not my favorite thing, but he's a very impressive-looking young man as well. Continuing the long tradition of Toro linebackers, Preston Patterson in there, stud as well. Always enjoy, if I can find, at the end of the season, I always try to find the Battle of Brown Road, 23-22 game last year. Always a fun one to watch with them in Red Mountain. Speaking of the Mountain Lions, we had Coach McDaniel, their OC, on the show. Phenomenal football coach. Absolutely loved that. He is a really, really sharp guy, really talented transfer quarterback from Eastmark Christensen. A couple pretty talented receivers as well. From what I gather, a really strong junior class over there at Red Mountain. So I am sure the Mountain Lions will be in there as well, coming off a 9-3 year. I know Coach Enders is, and Coach Enders, incidentally, Coach Enders, I have contacted you twice about being on the show. I'm still trying to get you. I had Coach McDaniel on. He was phenomenal. I need to get Coach Enders on here. But anyhow, I love this region, and I'm going to go with the Mountain Lions this year. I'm going to go with Red Mountain in a really close. Last year I went with Mountain View, and Red Mountain burned me. I could see the same thing happening this year, going with Red Mountain, and Mountain View burns me. But I think the winner of the Battle of Brown Road wins this region. Highland obviously could have something to say about that as well.
Yeah, and it's to me, it doesn't matter how good the rosters are for those two teams. Like if Mountain View's 10 times better than Red Mountain or vice versa, that game's always comes down to a possession. It seems like does not matter where they are, and that to me is why that's one of the top rivalry games in the state of Arizona. Look, in this region, you have 3 of the best head football coaches in the state. Brock, Andy, and Kyle. And then, no offense to Desert Ridge, we just got to see how Miles Smith, he's first-year head football coach. We'll see how it goes. You're exactly correct, Cody. You're exactly correct. Desert Ridge right now is kind of, they're going to take their thumps and then probably readjust into 5A. A lot of the talent pool in East Mesa, they're going to Red Mountain. The ALAs are getting built all over the place out there. They're going to Highland. There's just so many schools that Desert Ridge probably used to get 7 to 8 years ago. They're just not going to Desert Ridge right now, and that's tough. So it's a big uphill battle for Miles Smith. Highland, Brock had 3 quarterbacks get hurt last year. Name me a high school anywhere that has 3 quarterbacks get hurt and they're successful. I mean, and even with that, he still played in 3 one-score games against 6A opponents. Very tough. I want to see Highland bounce back, but I agree with you. This region is up to Mountain View and it's Red Mountain. Both very similar. Both graduated incredible senior classes that won a ton of games for them. It's time to regroup, reload for these 2 schools. Mesa Public Schools, and you're a Mesa Public School guy, they have some of the best coaches in the state. And that's such a credit to their hiring process, and these guys are tremendous. I'm going to go against you. I'm going to go with Mountain View, and Kyle will watch this now. And so hopefully he calls you and says, I'm going to join the show because he'll watch this. To me, Mountain View and what they have, I think their program, I don't think there's anything that they necessarily do that's better than when Red Mountain teaches or does. I just think the Toros get them this year. I think there's certain positions, and Andy Litton in terms of scheme, you want to talk about an offensive guru and Andy Litton, and then Kyle Enders, who has a long history of being one of the top defense coordinators in the state. That chess piece, that chess play between those 2 is the best matchup in Arizona high school football. And I'm just going to go with the Toros this year getting it. But as we have seen, a lot of times that rematch comes back into play come playoff time. And what's that phrase? It's hard to beat a good team twice. We've seen that with this rivalry now a couple of years.
Absolutely, and I want to have him on the show because I think he's brilliant, and I want to learn from him. And I think a lot of coaches would like to hear from him as well. But anyhow, moving on. Really talented region. Don't know much about Cactus Canyon. New head coach Major Perry. Obviously, they had a fantastic coach last year. I know he left for a lot of reasons. The schedule. I looked at the schedule and I was like, oh my word, this thing is brutal, absolutely brutal. So I'm sure he'll do a good job. They always have tough kids, but that's going to be a tough road for them this year with that schedule. Ty Wisdom over at Chandler, obviously incredibly talented quarterback, receiver combo with Jai Jones and Will Menzel, really talented running back as well. Ty Wisdom, a great offensive coach, came right in, heads right to the Open State Championship final there. So that Chandler is really, really talented. Hamilton, I had their OC on, loved it. Brilliant guy. I know they have one of the best offensive line coaches in Coach Tucker. Tremendous head football coach. They're actually coming. We're taping this in June, releasing this in August, but they're coming up here to practice. I'm super excited to watch them practice because I'm sure it will be a sight to behold. Obviously, you talk about Roy Oliver, most talented player, one of the most talented players in the country, reclassifying his brother Roman on that team. Obviously, the question mark is going to be, is the quarterback back 100% from the knee injury? They were putting Pac-Man-like numbers last year. I kept looking at the scores, and I was like, are they ever going to score less than 60? This is not even, this is ridiculous. Obviously, Bash ended up winning it. They beat Bash at 28-12, I believe, in the regular season. So the question obviously lies with, can the quarterback stay healthy? I know he loves a couple of their running backs, Skylar Cole, Devontae Roebuck, some really talented. They were young, too. They got some really good defenders. Mitchell Rayner, I believe, Casey Allen, Keaton Fields had 4 picks. Loaded Huskies team. Pinnacle, one of my favorite guys in the coaching profession, another fantastic coach. Dana Zupke was super happy to see their offensive coordinator get the job at Seton. If we were doing a 3A show, I think Seton will be a team to contend with Coach Hanshaw there. Had him on. Really great guy. But Pinnacle has some good-looking players back. Lot to replace. Good-looking linebacker. Defensive back, Cash Silva. I think Jackson Reeder will possibly be in line to be the quarterback over there at what for a while there was kind of quarterback high. Valley Vista, I just want to throw a shout-out to Ed Cook, who's been a great wing. Ed Cook's one of the best guys in the coaching profession. I love Ed. He'll do a good job there. They're in a similar boat, I would think. The wins are going to be few and far between for them this year, and that is no disrespect to him. That I'm just kind of calling that one like I see it. I'm going Hamilton wins this region, and I'm going to save my Open Championship pick because I know everybody's picking Bashan, rightfully so, but the Huskies and Wolves could have something to say about that.
Yeah, Cactus Canyon and Valley Vista just tough. I mean, like you said, we're recording this June 24th. We'll see if Cactus Canyon, former Chavez, is going to have a team. They have. It's like we'll get to the team that all these kids are going to in the next region, but like 15 to 20 of them transferred to Corona del Sol. So huge wave of kids. So it's just sad. Valley Vista, Ed Cook, huge uphill battle, but he understands that. He is at least the new AD at Valley Vista is a good friend of his, so he'll have the admin support. I think that's another situation where go through the lumps and see if they shift down into 5A. So then you have the three juggernauts. Pinnacle falls into the bracket, or that tier that I have with Brophy and what is the other team I have in there? The tier that I have with like Brophy and Centennial, meaning they have a roster that can compete 100% with these guys. You play the game and you execute, and Pinnacle can win these games. Just haven't kind of seen it. Now, over the last span years, but last year with that region, I was at that Hamilton Pinnacle game, and Hamilton was always a step faster. They're always just a little bit more executed a little bit more. So to me, I don't know if Pinnacle is going to make that jump, so to speak, Cody, to win that region. But then it goes into that conversation. If you're in that play-in game and you lose in the play-in game, you drop into 6A, Pinnacle should be a favorite to win the 6A bracket, like 100%, because they are so talented. But are they at that open top 4 team tier that we talk about? I'm not sure if they make that jump, but they're clearly one of the top teams in 6A. So much credit to Coach Zupke. See some of the younger kids step up. They have a really good 2028 class. Chandler Hamilton. I was waiting to see who you were going to choose because to me, the roster-wise is so loaded. Hamilton is more talented in that secondary back half. Chandler graduated almost their entire secondary last year. So that, to me, is like the Oliver times 2 brothers can make things happen. Jack Scully, their quarterback, I love that kid. Really unfortunate injuries the last 2 years. But even so, he looked so good in spring, recovering that Texas Tech threw out an offer. So that was a huge offer for Jackson. I think just confidence heading into the season. I hope the kid can stay healthy because he's such a talented kid. I'm going to choose the Wolves. Will Menzel, Ty Wisdom, their wide receiver room, their defensive line. So they have all those offensive powers, and it's amazing. Will Menzel is incredible. But their defensive line, Jude Jones, Jackson's, and Bricky, those 2 guys are monsters. They are so disruptive, create havoc. I believe you win up front, especially on the defensive line. If you have guys who can get to the quarterback, cause havoc, create turnovers, great chance to win the game. Both offenses go so fast. They have opportunities to score 40 points. It's always a track meet. I'm going to go with the Wolves, though, because that defensive front 7 looks amazing. And you chose Hamilton. So for the sake of this podcast, I think it's good to create competition.
All right, we're already stoking the not needed fire of the rivalry of Arizona Avenue. That one does not need any extra ammo because that one's always a really, really big deal. I can see it going either way. They're both really, really talented. All right, going on to the Southeast region. We have a couple regions left. We'll give our open picks and 6A picks as well here. Southeast region, ALA Queen Creek, I know had a really young team. Started out, I believe, 0-5 and then went on a tear. I thought, if you were giving me, I thought they were going to win the 6A bracket. Mm-hmm. I thought there was a good chance they'd end up winning the 6A bracket. They did not. Really talented running back, Nash Hall, receiver, Stetson Agnew, Bryce Devlin, Talon Scott, 8 touchdowns. Last year, another talented DB with 3 picks, ALA Queen Creek. Really, really well coached, always really, really disciplined. Kind of reminds me of some of those 80s, 90s Mountain View Toro-type-esque teams and the current Mountain View Toro-esque type teams. That one's going to be super interesting. Moving on to Castile, obviously talked about Coach Bushman. Tremendous football coach. Came in first year, they get a 6A state championship. All starts with quarterback T. Smith, who there's some unbelievably talented quarterbacks. I myself, the kid can throw it. He can make all the throws. He can do all that. I love quarterback run game, and he's a guy that gives you so much +1 in the quarterback run game, so he makes them so dangerous. Really talented running back there with him. DeFreitas, I believe, I'm probably saying that incorrectly. A talented athlete, 9 touchdowns. Troy Jarigi, probably saying that wrong as well. Another good one. But I think this is a really talented team at Castile. I think they'll make some noise. I was unaware of Coach Lauer adding so many transfers from Cactus Canyon. I love Coach Lauer, but I think that's unfortunate for the program there at Cactus Canyon. Really talented Corona del Sol team. He's a certified program builder and a first-class guy. Yeah. So I think you'll see some strides there. I know their quarterback, I believe, had surgery, but is expected to be back and ready to go in the season. Luke Farrell there. Cameron Reyes, Rivera. They got a lot of their top 3 tacklers back. Some talented kids in the backfield as well with Cortez Young, Tristan Ritchie, and obviously adding some transfers there. They'll be really good. Super enjoyed seeing Desert Vista be much improved last year. It was 4-6. I believe they were close to sneaking into that 6A bracket there with Jake McSpadden. He's done a really nice job. Running back Sam Schiermeyer, a couple other guys. They got an interception guy, Jaden Finger. There had 3 picks last year. Had a talented quarterback graduate, but they had another quarterback that saw some significant time last year. DB, I think, will continue to make improvements. Really tough schedule, though. Moving on to Queen Creek, this is a super interesting one with the new head coach, with Coach Sherman stepping down, one of the classiest and best coaches in Arizona as well. So it'll be interesting to see. I know they're in really, really good hands, and they always have a talented team. Couple talented running backs in the backfield, linebacker Asher Howard. Obviously, their quarterback, Sawyer Hales, extremely talented. Colton Cox, 6 interceptions last year. Talented 6A Southeast region. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm going ALA Queen Creek this time. I could see Castile winning that. I think it comes down to those 2 in this region. What are your thoughts on the Southeast?
So I'm going to go with Castile here, and that's actually not just because you chose ALA Queen Creek, and I think Castile is just the best team in this region. Starting from the back half here, Queen Creek, I think Steve Huber's a great coach. Like what he was able to accomplish at Chandler last year, the word new to the I don't know if new to the state's the right phrase here, but compared to some of these coaches that have coached here for 20, 30 years, he is very much newer in the last 5 or 6 years here. So I think he's still getting his bearings right. But he's first-year head coach, put together a good staff. And that class of 2028 that they have at Queen Creek is really good. Colton Cox, tremendous safety. Great tackler. Asher Howard, who's Scott Howard's son. Scott Howard, longtime head coach at Florence. God, that kid is amazing, too. Just great form tackler, true Queen Creek Bulldog football. But I think I don't know if they have, how do I say this without even sounding really bad, Cody? I think Castile is deeper at most positions. They have more skilled players. Desert Vista and Corona, I am so happy with Tempe Unified School District because they are giving coaches the keys and letting them coach. Desert Vista, we have seen a million coaching changes in the last 8 years. Coach McSpadden now is a little bit of consistency at that program. That's why that program at DV is getting better every year, and he does a great job in the weight room. Corona with Lauer, and I made the comment 15 transfers. It's more, they have 15 total transfers. I think 7 of 8 are from Chavez, Cactus Canyon, and then they got another influx of transfers all over. So they're pouring into Corona. Lauer's going to get a huge added depth come week 6, and that quarterback is pretty darn good too. UNLV commit. And then we get to ALA Queen Creek. They'll always be solid. I just think they have a lot of new players that are at pivotal pieces where ALA Queen Creek usually has pretty good senior leadership, or at least juniors who had played a ton of football at key spots. They don't have that too much this year. So then you enter Castile, and Castile has that. T. Smith III, when I watch him in the state game against Centennial, I'm watching him run around everywhere, extend plays, buy his wide receivers 10 seconds to run down the field and get open, and this reminds me of Damon Williams-esque. I'm not saying he's Damon Williams, but the way he could shift his quarterback run ability and then design run ability, a lot of the quarterback tray counters that they were running with him, this reminds me of DeMond. And that is really, really hard to stop. And it is really hard to get a scout look for, because a lot of times you as a head coach are putting a starting tailback or a starting wide receiver, your best athlete there as a Wildcat quarterback to try to go. But those guys can't throw the ball. And so defensively, you might be trying to pursue and you're working better angles and stuff, but then he could stop at a dime behind the line of scrimmage and sling it 50 yards. T. Smith is very good. They also received an influx of transfers. You could circle it 3 times that I think Castile's winning that region.
All right. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if you're right. I thought long and hard about that one. I wasn't sure. ALA Queen Creek has been so consistent. I wish I was available on Friday night to watch that one. Moving on to the Southern region. Obviously, what can you say about Basha? I don't really know. They're absolutely loaded everywhere. Unbelievable amount of division. Super psyched as a Sun Devil fan to see Jake Hildebrand sign there. There's so many talented players. Jake Rogers ended up stepping in. Quarterback did an amazing job last year. Noah Roberts has been mentioned in the same sentence as Bijan Robinson, which is unbelievable praise on a different level. Obviously, there's so much talent there. They're incredibly well coached. I love Coach McDonald. He's an outstanding football coach. I don't know what else to say about them other than they're the prohibitive favorite and everything, and they 100% should be. Moving on to Mesa, this is an exciting team. We just had Coach Felker on the show. One of the best offensive minds around. There's so many good coaches in Arizona in 6A. It's just absolutely wild. Yep. He is amazing, did a phenomenal job. As a younger coach, I used to go to the MCC clinics, and I loved learning from him. Has a really gifted way of making the complex seem simple. And obviously with Boogie Antema and Kingston Antema, Rio Arnett in the backfield, Sione Taeli, Cameron Williams had a bunch of picks, really talented linebacker, and Skips over there. Mesa is, I'm telling you, it's wild because they used to come to camp and they always had Mesa High kids. And what I mean by that is they had tough kids. Yep. I coached at Dobson for many, many years, and our battles with Mesa High, this is when Mesa was kind of Chandler-esque in the mid-2000s there to 2007, 2008. Our battles with Mesa High and Westwood were just absolute bloodbaths every single week. But they have got such an influx of high-end talent. They've always been tough. Always. Yep. One of my favorite teams in Arizona was the team Kelly Moore took to the state championship in 2008, 2009, I believe, when they played Hamilton in the state final. But they have such an influx of high-end talent. What can you say about Jeremy Hathcock, an unbelievable football coach? Cale Snyder, obviously incredibly talented quarterback, really talented receiver, Amos Augustine, Talon Frazier in the backfield, good linebackers, and Coach Hathcock, one of the best around. I sound like a broken record because he would be in any list of top Arizona coaches currently. He would certainly be on there as well. Sal Point, I know, lost a few transfers. Sal Point, always tough. Lou Benetone, who we coaxed out of retirement, his son was on that staff last year. They got some kids. I don't know who they lost in the transfer portal. I know they got a talented guy with 5 interceptions, Jake Bondi. I believe they have a good running back as well. Sal Point's always really, really talented and the cream of Tucson. Westwood, long history of tough, solid, salty football teams. Also a tradition of unbelievable skill kids getting with their talented running back, Kashawn Barkas, who he's got, I don't know, that's a rough schedule, but he's got a chance to be a 2,000-yard rusher, I would say. Wide receivers, Ben Atwood, really good coach, Brandon Large, believe it or not. I was the offense coordinator at Dobson, coached against Brandon Large in 2006 when we were 6-2 heading into that game. Had just upset Mesa, and they were down a little bit, and they upset us in there. Ended up costing us a playoff berth in 6A at that time, but those Westwood Mesa games were always tough. Great region. Have to go with Basha, obviously, as the region champ here. Really going to be fun to see what Coach can do at Perry, though, as well.
Yeah, starting with Westwood here, I was so proud of Coach Large and his players making the playoffs last year. I mean, that is a huge accomplishment. regardless of the numbers in 6A, and that's what they strive for. I think it was confident. There's so much confidence for their kids. They're in a region where they get so many power points, having Basha, Perry, Mesa, and South Point in it. And they deserve that. And Kashawn Barkis are exactly correct. 1-2 cut going north. Great addition to Nevada, who's kind of just raiding the state of Arizona right now, the Wolfpack. And then you go to South Point. South Point lost two of their best players. One transferred to Basha, the other kid transferred to Castile. Really tough for the Lancers. Don't really see that a lot. Mostly, South Point's raiding all of southern Arizona, but kids making their way to the Valley. Perry, Jeremy Hathcock, what is he going to do? He's going to make his kids, those Perry kids, tougher than they've ever been, and he's going to win games. Amos Augustine, that 2028 receiver that they have, Cody looks like the best wide receiver in the state right now. He is incredible. The way he attacks, his brain is perfect. Yeah, he looks legit. And I've seen him probably 4 or 5 times this spring and summer. Frame, the way he attacks, a great kid too. Tremendous leadership skills. He's legit. Mesa and Basha. Mesa's got the best two-way player in the state. Mesa's starting 22, offense and defense. If you line them up on the 50, you would go, yeah, I'm taking this team and we're going to win a lot of games. And under Ryan Felker, they're going to win a lot of games. Best two-way player in the state is Kingston and Atema. Kingston and his brother Boogie. Boogie's the quarterback. He's coming off an ACL injury. He's almost cleared, so hopefully Boogie's ready to go. But his brother Kingston is verbally committed to right there on your shirt, ASU Sun Devils. That kid is so special. He just has it. He plays everywhere in the secondary, and he also plays slot receiver for them. Felker's going to put up a ton of points. But you look at Basha, and it looks like a college program, and I think they're nearing 30 Division I kids on their team. They have the most. Every position's got a D1 kid. So I'm not going to spend 30 minutes talking about it because every position has it. That's incredible. They have a defensive end named Landon Wade. He's 2028, so he's going to be a junior, and he's really young for that class. So you don't say that. A lot of times we're saying, yeah, he's an 18-year-old junior. No, he's barely turning 16 right now, and so he's young for his class. He has 6'10" wingspan. They list him at like 6'6", 6'7", 240, 250 pounds. He's got like no fat on him. His jab and the way he extends and his violence ripping Cody is the most college-ready prospect I've ever seen in the state at probably on the defensive side. Like we've had some quarterbacks that look ready to go. This kid, Landon Wade, looks so dominant. And so I see like a kid like that, and then next to him is Anatoni Tahi, Division I commit to Kansas State. Then next to him is another Division I guy. Then they're linebackers, and I'm just going, how do you stop that front seven? Like, it's just, and then their whole secondary is Division I kids. Their edge rushers and the way they're coached, it's Basha against the world. It really is.
Well, Coach, that's why I have you on here too, because you're always so insightful in so many areas. Like I said, I talked about this. I'm not sure. I posted this once and it got a lot of attention. I look at ticket prices. I'm a pro wrestling fan, all right? I want to take my daughters to go watch Raw, and I was like, I can't mortgage my house to go watch a pro wrestling show. And tickets for all sorts of stuff. The price of stuff is insane. If there is a better value than high school football in terms of entertainment value, where you get to see an incredibly good product, I don't know. I really don't. Because even if they're on the high end ticket wise, they're charging you 10, 11
$10.
Or whatever. You're talking about unbelievable talent everywhere. Guys you're going to see on Sunday eventually. Definitely a ton of guys you're going to see on Saturday. Not sure there's a better value anywhere than high school football across our great country right now with the price of things. So encourage everybody to get out there and watch those things. Going to get into the Open and 6A picks now. I've already said I think the semifinals are the Chandler Trio and Liberty. There's some different things there. I'm going to give you my next 4 Open teams here, and it's going to be interesting here because I really kind of went back and forth on a couple of these things. So in no particular order here, I'm going to go Williamsfield, Centennial, Red Mountain, and whoever wins the 8th spot in the Open is, I'm going to give myself a little bit of an out here. I'm going to go ALA, Queen Creek, Castile, or Perry. Any of those 3. get the final one. Whoever isn't in the Open of those three is my 6A final, whether that's Castile Perry in the 6A final with Mesa High possibly in the semis. I don't know. That could be something there, but that's my pick for the Open and 6A, and it will be, as always, a ton of fun in Arizona, and Friday nights will be great. So we'll see what happens, but I'm looking forward to getting to watch it. I probably won't be watching it until hopefully we go deep in the 4A playoffs as well. I'm not watching it till late November, early December. But those are my picks.
Absolutely. And I agree with you at the top four. And I think you can solidify that. But I think you have two teams out of Central going to be in that play-in and probably win their first-round game. I think you have Brophy and Higley. I just love that Higley team. So right there I'm going to have those two. And then to join them with the other two, I think you have Mesa. Now, Mesa and Perry, to me, I think they can both be there. Mesa, both of those teams, though, they don't have the depth of the other teams like Pinnacle, Brophy, Centennial, like that crop, they don't have the depth. But for the namesake, if every kid stays healthy, which me and you know does not exist in the world of football, but if they did and all their stars played there, I think Mesa and Perry got a great chance of doing that. Centennial should be in the thick of that as well. I guess I give myself a cop-out if a team does lose that. I would say Centennial and Mesa, if those two teams lost in that play-in and dropped down in the 6A bracket, I would take them over the rest of the crop of the 6A. Ironically, those two teams played in what I think was a quarterfinal game, or maybe it was a semifinal game in the 6A playoffs. Yeah, and it came down to a Hail Mary, a Centennial caught at the end of the game there. I think if Mesa, and I talked to Jeremy Hathcock and his son Alec all the time about this, I think if Mesa wins that football game, I think they go into Castile the next week, a game that they've already beaten the Colts in the regular season last year. I think the way that team was rolling, I think Mesa would have won the 6A title. So this year, I think that Mesa team and then that Centennial team, I think if one of those teams drops down, that's my favorite to win it all this year in 6A.
You know, you're probably right. You've seen Higley in person, so I'm probably just not having seen them. And obviously I know how talented Brophy is. I don't know. I could easily be convinced to not have Williamsfield there and have Brophy and Higley in that open mix or 6A championship.
And for your hope, like you said, I hope you don't get to watch any of these teams. And you can't say it, but I know how talented of a team you have coming back. You have the Towers up front coming back for you, and that I cannot wait to watch the Prescott Badgers play this year because you have a very good team coming back, and I know those kids attack the weight room. So for your sake, I hope you don't get to watch any of these games until January.
Hopefully we can do some good things. I know our region is my favorite region in the state. Not just saying it because we're in it. It's the Grand Canyon is awesome. Brad Chaz,
yes.
17. Coco will be very good. Lee Williams, I think, is the favorite in our region.
Really? Okay.
Lee Williams with that tailback Lucas Least
coming back. Yeah.
That kid is a terror and an absolute stud. I'll tell you that much. But I didn't give an Open State champion, so this is my shock pick here. All right, I know you took Chandler over Hamilton. I have Hamilton beating Basha to win the Open State championship this year. Not because of anything else other than I think when you're as talented, I'm giving Coach McDonald, who I consider a good friend, bulletin board material, 100%. Not that he cares what I think, because talent-wise, they're unbelievable. I think with anybody, when you're that good and that much better, I just think that stuff can set in where that complacency, and I think maybe they've rolled so much in the regular season, we see a shocker in the Open semifinals or state championship, and I have Hamilton winning the Open State championship. And I'm not just saying that because they're coming here tomorrow and I can tell them I made that pick. But that's my pick to win the Open. So.
I'll give the entire district bulletin board material. Give me the Lions. Lions come back. I think the entire year is revenge for the Lions. I think Colin Thomas is so locked in with his coaching staff. He added some really good assistant coaches. Ryan DeRochers, who's former Valley Vista coach and also a longtime co-DC and secondaries coach at Liberty. He's back on staff. They run that 3 high safety and odd front so well. And their secondary, their corners are so long and so violent, and their safeties, how they just move and they die, and they are so confusing for opposing quarterbacks because of all the pre-snap movement. And we always talk about offensively, the pre-snap shifts and movement, well, their defense flies, and they confuse everybody. I think by the time they get in the open, and those sophomores have a full slate now, 10 games of play, they're going to go and they're going to play just like a senior would, and they're going to be just fine in that open. Granted, right, you got to get a decent draw, and by the time you get into the quarters and semis, there's no decent draw anymore. But I think they get a top 4, you get a bye, get some guys healthy. I like their offensive line, multiple Division I guys up front. They have kind of 2 quarterbacks right now still battling out, but they got a young kid that looks great. I think Liberty's going to be fine. Give me the Lions. Lions defeat Chandler Unified School District for the 2026 Open title.
I am glad I'm nowhere near Basha right now. I don't want to tick off any of those guys. Or
I'm going to screen record this and send it to them. So.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Well, I'm glad I'm in 4A, so they will be able to seek revenge for any of my selections anyway, even if they are calling you. Cody, I can't tell you how much fun I always have doing this with you. Another so insightful, so much knowledge. I've said it, I'll say it again. Arizona's so lucky. We have such great media people. I think you are the absolute best, even if you haven't been doing it as long as some of the other legendary guys out there. But I hope you continue doing this for decades to come, because you do such an amazing job covering high school football in our whole state. And the reason I give you the tag as my opinion, the best one, is you do such a good job covering not only the 6A powers and the 5A powers, but great job covering 3A, even realm into 2A a little bit, and 4A definitely do an amazing job. So thank you for coming on, and I will look forward to chatting with you soon.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Cody. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Looking forward to it. We'll see everybody next time for another edition. Next week we continue our mini clinics. This is a long one because we wanted to get the preview out. Next week we'll have mini clinics on where we do about 20-25 minutes. I know, coaches, you're busy in season. We got some really good coaches lined up on these mini clinics. Pop it on while you're getting ready before practice there. Maybe it gives you an idea, stokes you, gives you something that you can implement in that week. Who knows? But that's the plan, and we'll see everybody next time. Thanks for joining us.